Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about Minecraft. No, I am serious. Well, I've noticed something of a Minecraft renaissance happening recently, or at least that's what I choose to call it, and, well, I think it's interesting for the gaming community as a whole, and as a fairly unique moment in the whole entertainment industry, if you will, and I think there's a couple of things that I would like to point out and sort of have this discussion about, and I think that they are worth paying attention to and worth giving attention to, I guess, in the form of this video. So, I harbour no illusions that I'm going to show you something new or discuss something revolutionary when it comes to Minecraft. If I talk about the history of the game, or why it appeals to so many people, or its popularity, or so on and so forth, I believe everyone knows all about that. However, I do need to start somewhere in order to get to my point, and to that end, we go to 2012? 11? Something like that. The day at which, or the date at which I started playing Minecraft. I do remember that this was before they introduced the proper food system. Back in the day, the only reason you would eat anything was to heal. You didn't actually have food as a thing. You would just use food to heal. Anyways, all that being said, the game has stayed more or less the same since those days. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks gorgeous now with the shaders mod, and one of the, I think one of the only reasons I still play the game nowadays, other than to occasionally build something, is to look at that gorgeous sunset or sunrise, or behold my kingdom and domain, and so on and so forth. But be that as it may, the game has roughly stayed the same in the sense of it's always been about the same few things, right? It's always been about exploration, building, and survival. You would build the most amazing structures. I saw people reconstruct whole real-world cities. I saw people build historically accurate ships in Minecraft, and I believe back in the day someone built a whole actual functioning computer out of redstone, if I remember correctly. So this sort of freedom to build whatever the bloody hell you want is more than impressive. It is mesmerizing. That said, though, the game hasn't fundamentally changed all that much over the years, despite the addition of new biomes, new mobs, new, right, all sorts of new things. Despite all that, the game more or less stayed the same, but what has changed drastically over the years is our perception of it, or rather the community's as a whole, their, ours, or whatever, their, however you view it, perception of the whole game. So back in the day, back in my day, when the game was released, I think every one of us sort of instinctively knew that this was going to be something special, right? That this was going to be something unique, something that we won't get a sequel to necessarily. And despite the numerous attempts at clones, I think the closest thing ever coming to a proper Minecraft is something like Terraria. And Terraria is not like Minecraft. I mean, it's a fantastic game, don't get me wrong, and I think it received its last update a short while ago. So the game's officially going to have no more DLC, no more updates. Its final version came out, and it had a bit of a renaissance and a resurfacing of its own as a result of that, I suppose. And that's all fine and well, and nostalgic right now and everything. But that's an action game. Minecraft's unique in every sense of the word. But why is it that it's been so differently perceived over the years? I think that's sort of a unique cultural moment, or a unique... I kind of want to call it an event, almost, in gaming as a whole. It's unique in the sense of... I don't know of another game that's been through so many different stages of being loved, hated, or ignored by certain groups of the population, by certain groups in the general audience, and by parts of the population, right? Now, don't get me wrong, Minecraft has been stupidly popular from day one to, well, right now, the moment of recording. It has had its ups and downs, as pretty much every game ever has, but it has stayed consistently profitable and consistently well loved and played. It's just that the general perception of who plays it and how and what has changed significantly, and this is something that I want to talk about. And this sort of ties into the Renaissance from the title. Now, I'm hoping that I can actually build and talk at the same time, which I very much doubt, so let's try that. No, it turns out I can't actually break blocks and talk at the same time. Or I can break blocks, but I can't count blocks and play at the same time, sorry. Anyways, initially, it was considered to be, you know, a sort of great freedom game, if that makes sense. That's not a great expression, but it was a game that offered you a lot of freedom in doing whatever the hell you want, and it was unique and all of that, and everyone loved it, and that's fine. And then, well, I'm not going to go too much into detail over every single stage and perception of it and how it developed, because that would take too while and it would take a lot of research. But in general, after that sort of great everyone loves this stage, of course, there were people who just didn't understand why the hell would you play a game that looks like, you know, giant pixels that you just break and place elsewhere, and, look, I understand people like that. Some people are into gaming for the graphics, for the art style, for the design, and some people are in it just for the gameplay. Some people like linear corridor shooters, some people like an open world map where you just grab a bunch of dirt blocks and from there build spaceships. Or, you know, something a little bit more reasonable, like a giant cathedral, which is what I'm building now, but never mind. The point being, a lot of people loved it, and barring the sort of, I don't really want to say haters, but you know what I mean, like, barring the people that didn't understand why the graphics were so bad and hated it for that reason, the game was universally loved. After that, it was, I kind of want to use the word taken over, but that's not what I mean. Like, not really taken over, but the general perception was that children play this game and nobody else anymore. Minecraft was for the more sort of, again, like, phrasing is going to be all over the place here. This is, you know, this can be taken in so many different ways, but against the more sort of serious, if you will, gaming population, the more adult of them, and the sort of sweaty nerds, if you will, of which I am myself one, I suppose, so, you know, I call it as I see it. People, more and more people, let's just say it like that. It's difficult to describe, you know, the population and the community that sort of started seeing the game this way, without having it sound just insulting or wrong. But at the same time, it is sort of necessary to attribute some sort of tag and name to them, right? So let's just say the more and more people started viewing the game this way. And what happened is more and more people started seeing the game as a children's game. And this persisted for years almost. And a certain amount of time, I would say a couple of years after that, it then became a nostalgic sort of thing. People remember playing it back in their teenage days, I suppose, or, just back in the day, as they say, and people would go, you know what, I wonder how it is now, I should go back into it. And then a sort of modding explosion happened of the game, where you had billions upon billions of mods, a lot of which were, to me personally, not something I really understood, in the sense that all of a sudden it was about not the sort of, I guess almost medieval sort of style that the game was in. I mean, you didn't really have much in the way of technology in the game, right? You would have redstone, which was more or less magical in its properties, and then you would have just blocks, right? Stone, wood, iron, stuff like that. It was definitely more of a medieval feel to advanced technologies, nuclear reactors, spaceships, and God knows what else. A sort of modding extravaganza where the focus was, again, more or less, depending on the mods, on single blocks very often. You would spend days in Minecraft gathering the materials and processing them to get a single block, which could be a nuclear reactor, it could be a... Oftentimes, though, it was just an extractor or an ore refiner for something else that you would need to build, which was also a single block. And these are still well beloved and popular to this day, but then they sort of had their heyday, right? Stuff like Tekkit, Feed the Beast, and so on and so forth, and like I said, these are still played to this day. And people still love them, and rightfully so. There's a lot of effort put into those mods, and they are in many ways what I would consider, were this a different type of game, they would be probably called overhaul mods. This being Minecraft, they don't really use the word, or at least I haven't noticed anyone use the word overhaul mods for mods like those, but nevertheless, they had their heyday. And after that, kids again. Or at least the general perception was that just this is a kids game and just kids play it, and everyone sort of drifted away from it. Now, there is some basis in this claim. A large chunk of the player base were indeed children. This is known, and this is kind of normal given given the game itself. It's kind of like playing with Lego blocks, except you're not relying on a box of Legos that your mum bought you. You're relying on an infinite amount of Lego blocks, and you can rearrange them any way you want. Honestly, that sounds exciting to me. I mean, this is even in my, mid-20s now, right? It sounds kind of exciting to me, because an infinite amount of Legos. I like Lego builds. I do, and I don't consider myself less of anything as a result. It's just nerdy and it's cool. I mean, who doesn't want an Imperial Star Destroyer in their room if, Star Wars is your thing, or something from Star Trek made out of Lego, and you just build it yourself, you paint it, or, it comes painted, whatever, and you just have it sit in your room. That's cool, isn't it? Well, this is kind of a similar thing if you think about it. This is just that, except you have an infinite amount of Legos, and it's not sitting in your room, granted, but it's also there for you to explore anytime you want. Just load it up on your PC, and one of the sort of better, not better, but one of the sort of more impactful things that changed about this game is that now all of a sudden you can run it on anything. Used to be a PC exclusive, if you can believe that, back in the day, but now you can run it on your consoles, you can run it on your phones, you can run it on your toasters, and I'm pretty sure soon you'll be able to run it on your shower head as well. Which is by no means a good thing. I've always been advocating for games to be released on all platforms, but this is getting a little bit ridiculous. Anyways, jokes aside, again, it is just sort of cool and nerdy regardless of your age. At least that's always been my sort of perception of it. What you focus on in the game, I guess, will probably depend on your age and what you do in it, but yeah, as a whole, it's just it's a piece of entertainment. It's like, it's no more a kid's video game or exclusive to 12-year-olds than, I don't know, a James Bond movie is. Granted, 12-year-olds in some places in the world aren't allowed to see James Bond, but this is where sort of my culture and my country come into play. We don't really view it as that. Anyone can watch James Bond and just look at it differently. You know, some just pay attention to the pretty explosions and the lights, and others look more into the dialogue and the story and whatnot. It's kind of an all-age thing, at least in my country. Again, I understand that there are age restrictions in a lot of countries in the world, and this sort of makes it not a great example, but, you know, Home Alone, I guess, is a great example of this, isn't it? Like, it's no more of a kid's game than Home Alone is. Sure, kids might find it entertaining, but, I mean, as base, I guess, as the humour is in that film, it's a great Christmas movie. And I see no problem with anyone of any age enjoying it. Same with Minecraft. Yet, however, the perception generally was this is something reserved for kids, and you should steer clear of it if you value your manhood or whatever. But then, we have the last sort of, I guess, year or two. It's 2018, 2019, 2020. And I would say especially since January, February of last year, with obviously what's going on in the world, more people having to work from home, more people having to just be at home and not go out, I think a lot more people had time to revisit certain nostalgic things and make themselves feel a little bit better in these trying times, but more importantly, they had a lot of time on their hands, and, well, we had the Minecraft Renaissance. And in typical Juggernaut fashion, about an hour into the video, I get to my point. But it's important to understand all of this, and it's important to say it, because what we have now is a sort of return to the olden days, quote-unquote, where a lot of people, and I need to show this, I think, give me a second, a lot of people play the game like this. There we go. I think a lot of people record the game like this as well, and on one hand, I understand. It's nostalgic. It's very nostalgic for me as well to play like this. I remember, you know, the first video I've ever made on YouTube, or technically the second video I've made, because the first one was a school project, right? Yes, back in the day, they taught us how to make YouTube videos at school. I'm very grateful for them, as you can imagine, or to them, sorry, as you can well imagine, I suppose. But here's the thing, a lot of people play the game like this, and I'm going to continue the video like this. I guess part of the reason is probably the frame rate. If you put on shaders, your frame rate goes to, I'm at around 200 right now, I think. It goes down to like 40, 50. Yeah, it's a big difference, obviously. So I guess a lot of recordings are done this way for frame rate reasons, but at the same time, I'd rather watch a video at 50 frames a second than, you know, that looks gorgeous than a video like this at 5 million frames. But, yeah, different strokes for different folks. What I do want to talk about, though, is, let's take, for example, someone like Luke the Notable, which I'm pretty sure everyone knows who the man is. Big shout out to him, by the way. The crazy lad has achieved 18 million views on his sort of YouTube compilation of him playing hardcore for well, it started off with 100 days and now it's at 3,000 days, right? 2,000 days, 3,000 days, something like that. I forget, sorry, I watched the video a couple of days ago. 18 million views last time I checked. It's probably going to be more now. I believe that video is going to go up. On unmodded Minecraft, looking just like this. Hardcore mode, obviously. Which is just, for those of you that haven't played in a while and don't know what it is, if you die, the world gets deleted. That's it. You know, it's Iron Man mode with extra steps of just the world gets deleted if you die. So, yeah. 18 million views, and he's like, okay, he's a popular YouTuber, he's a big YouTuber, fair enough. But he's not that big. He's not 20 million subscribers big, right? You know, one day, hopefully, but right now, at least not. This sort of interest in the game, once again, and especially on Twitch and on YouTube, is strange, is unique. Because usually what happens with games when they sort of get perceived differently or change something about them, they just sort of die off, right? I mean, it's very rare to find the game that spikes up and down in popularity over a large period of time. This is, to my knowledge, the only big, unique example of that. If it's a smaller indie game, then yeah, sure, it goes free to play, it spikes in popularity, but that's different. The game hasn't changed drastically between 1.15 and 1.16, right? And now all of a sudden everyone is talking about the Caves update, and how they're going to play the Caves update when it comes out. I believe that should be 1.17, the update, right? Either way, now everyone's talking about it. And this, to me, was a fascinating little thing that we're sort of experiencing right now. We are living in a unprecedented time historically, and as unexciting as that might be, that just, graph goes up because Minecraft is now more popular, it is kind of fascinating, is it not? I don't think we've ever had something like this, that now the game is just reverting back, or not the game isn't changing, just the way we play it and the way we see it as a whole community is now sort of going in reverse. Right? We're going back to what it was before. Now that's fascinating, isn't it? To me, that is strange beyond belief, and maybe I'm just overthinking it, but why exactly is I think, an important question. Why is it that all of a sudden, it's not only in many ways socially acceptable, right? Because let's be honest, a couple of years ago, let's say, well, maybe more than a couple of years ago, when most people were looking at this like, oh, who plays Minecraft anymore? That's a children's game. If you said, oh, actually, I love to go on every day and build stuff in it, people will give you like the, huh? Look. Nowadays, though, it's fine. It's perfectly acceptable. It's great. Good on you. Why is that so? Well, I think part of the reason is that the aforementioned 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds from a few years ago, 1, grew up, 2, sort of left the game, right? As their attention span is not very long, you probably don't have the patience to sit here and build a 5 million block cathedral. Fair enough. But at the same time, when they left, the sort of people who were there from the start came back to the game, right? People that beta tested, people that played the first release, and they found a whole new world of different biomes and everything that they wanted to explore, and then ultimately we have the growing fan base of people that didn't play it before but picked it up now and went, holy hell, this is actually great. I mean, it's relaxing, it's a great video game. I like this. I'm going to play more of this. And I think that sort of shift in whom the game appeals to caused this wider perception of the game to be so different. And also, equally, the shift in which... the shift in who the game appeals to is also responsible for the game being constantly popular. Because when one type, or not really type, but one group or one part of the player base leaves, the game then appeals to or gets picked up by a different group, and the numbers stay more or less the same. Up until the recent few years, where we have a Minecraft that's sort of varied, right? We have one group who sticks to Feed the Beast and Tekkit and Technic, and these are, by the way, mods from a few years ago, or more than a few years ago. They might be called something entirely different nowadays. Thormium Craft, I believe, something like that was another one. Look, there's millions of them out there. One group sticks to that. One group sticks to not understanding the game and passively hating on it despite never having played it. Another group just said, you know what, it was fun back in the day and we're just going to leave it. Another group is, and so on. You get the point, right? Some are picking it up, some are leaving it, and the player base is either steadily increasing or staying the same. Game's not dipping, right? I mean, at least not significantly. You're obviously going to have peak players and average players a day be different on different things, but with the game coming out on, like I said, your showerhead soon, probably, the game's number of players keeps increasing, and don't get me wrong, I am absolutely well aware that Microsoft putting in literally millions upon millions, and I don't know if we're at $1 billion yet, but maybe, of dollars into marketing this is playing a part, don't get me wrong, but a classic like this almost markets itself as well, in parallel with the $1 billion, right? It kind of markets itself as well. And the combination of this, of different responses, different types of people playing, it appealing to different kinds of people, it being perceived differently, it growing in popularity, it being released on different platforms, all together form what I've now dubbed a Minecraft renaissance, where all of a sudden, the game's extremely popular again. Again, I said, like, I took Luke the Notable as an example. 18 million views. Congratulations. I watched the video, it was fantastic, it was well put together, it doesn't have any downtime, it's very quick from point to point, very exciting, great editing, everything. I mean, it's, you know, my praise of Luke the Notable aside, you then have people just, big-ish YouTubers just picking it up again. Catching on, you know, catching onto the bandwagon, or jumping on the bandwagon, as they say. I believe that's the expression. And you have smaller YouTubers now playing again. Back, you know, I keep saying back in the day, and I every time I say it, I get a little bit older. But Minecraft playthroughs were probably the most recorded type of video on YouTube for a while. Everyone was doing a Minecraft playthrough, yours truly included, right? Like I said, first real video I put up on the channel. I used to play it with a really good friend of mine back in the day. And unfortunately, the sad story is we don't talk that much anymore. I think I haven't heard from him in like 5 years, 6 years, maybe even more. Actually, probably a bit more than that, like 8 maybe. Yeah, that's anyways, I'm catching feels right now, as they say. I miss it. I genuinely do, and it's part of the reason why I just sort of jumped back in, right? It's a good game. It is a good game. It's a fun game. And now it's... I hesitate to use the word, but now it's acceptable to like it again. As silly as that sounds, it is. And, yeah, it's interesting how it evolved and how we're having this renaissance now. So, to that end, I guess that's kind of why I wanted to make the video. I wanted to point this out and to sort of ponder on it a little bit and comment on it. Certainly, like I'm repeating myself now, a unique thing, but also perhaps, just perhaps, we might be able to take a sort of, as a whole, you know, as humanity, if you will, or as a gaming community as a whole, we might be able to take some lesson out of it, you know, to be perhaps, dare I say, and catch a few dislikes, a little bit more mature about the way we view things and the way we respond to titles and to video games and to really everything in life. Because the passionate dislike for people who play Minecraft within a certain group of the community, obviously not everyone, that's silly. You know, nothing applies to everyone, I think, pretty much. You will find, you know, if you say all human beings breathe and drink water, I'm pretty sure I can find you some very exotic example of that not being the truth. So, my point is, you know, with a certain group of people in the gaming community, obviously not everyone, you'll find that the passion with which they disliked people who play the game and this game as a whole was somewhat awe-inspiring, and not perhaps frightening, maybe a better word than awe-inspiring. And nowadays, that's just, you know, not the well, it wasn't really a consensus opinion, but that's just not what people say nowadays, right? In any capacity. Now it's just on, like, the very far fringes that it's, like, normal to say that, oh, this game is for... I don't want to use any insults, but this game is for mentally challenged people, and nobody plays this, and why would you play it? It's not cool, and so on and so forth. Now it's like, you know, nobody says that, but a few years ago, that was more of a mainstream opinion than I think a lot of people realize. So, yeah, I'm hoping that, as a whole, we might perhaps, just perhaps, extract a sort of valuable life lesson out of this. And that is, if you are enjoying something, just enjoy it. Words of wisdom, Juggernaut. Hear me out. If you like something, and you find fishing in Minecraft relaxing, and digging pixelated blocks for an hour a day after work relaxing, then who gives a bloody damn about what the neighborhood 12-year-old or the neighborhood 30-year-old is gonna say? Or more. It applies to all ages. I hope I don't have to explain that. Who the bloody hell cares? If you enjoy something, just play it. If you enjoy playing something with others, invite them. Play with your friends. Play with randoms. Make friendships while playing. It's one of the best things about gaming. I've read hundreds, literally, of hundreds upon hundreds of stories in World of Warcraft where people have gotten married after meeting someone in a raid and playing with them. And, you know, maybe in the 90s this was unimaginable, but nowadays it's sort of a reality. You're gonna meet, chances are you might meet your best friend ever online. And chances are you're going to just hit it off really well, and then after a few years never speak to each other again, but, you know, that's life. It's just like that. It do be like that, as they say. So, yeah, just, if you like something, enjoy it, and, hopefully, in the future, in the distant future, well, we could avoid this whole up and down bit where it's no longer socially acceptable to like Minecraft, and the game doesn't go through its death and renaissance over and over again, but people who like it just like it, and there's no need to make a division between kids, 12-year-olds, and mentally challenged people, and the real gaming community, quote-unquote, of course. Just, we're all here for entertainment, we're all here to kill time, we're all here to learn something along the way, we're all here to make friends and interact in these games. Yeah, it depends on what you play it for. We're all here to be creative in one way or another. Some of us like to, you know, build a 1,000-block cathedral. Some of us like to just go out and spelunk and explore. Some of us like World of Warcraft. Some of us like Call of Duty and Counter-Strike and stuff. It doesn't matter, you know. There's no need to be openly hostile to everyone that doesn't like the same thing as you do, or likes something that you don't. There we go. I think that's going to be about it for this video. I was genuinely considering, like, this is the sort of 50% of the reason why I made the video, I was genuinely considering I might do, dare I say it, a Minecraft video. I know. I'll explain the sort of hesitation I have when I even talk about things like these. Is that a few years ago, you know, back in the day when it wasn't socially acceptable to be playing Minecraft again, I considered doing a series because I wasn't really thinking about what people in general think about the game. I was like, I was gonna do my own thing. Who cares? I mean, I like the game. I'm gonna play it. Some people are gonna like to, will like watching it. It's fine. Who cares about anything else, right? And that's the way it should be. But reality was, oh no, there is a problem with doing something like that back in the day. You either have your core fan base who like those expansive mods of a billion blocks, or you just get shunned almost in a way for playing a game like this. And that was very strange to me, because all of a sudden, apparently it was in many ways controversial to say, you know what, I'm going to do like a dozen or so Minecraft videos on something on my channel now, if you haven't been playing it for years. All of a sudden, that was a problem in many ways, and like, that was so strange to me. And now again, you know, a few years later, again I would say like probably since 2019-ish, late 2018 maybe, all of a sudden that's not a problem anymore. That's not controversial, you can just do it, who cares? In many ways you're expected to do it because, you know, everyone else is doing it. Again, I can name a whole bunch of YouTubers that have done so, and some of the OGs, if you will, that came back to the game. For a period, at least. To sort of get that nostalgic feel and kick out of it. And that was just... It still is strange, but especially back then, that was like... I was fascinated by that even being a thing. So anyways... I was thinking I might do like a world tour or showcase of the video or something, or maybe just like switch this game to hardcore and then play like that. That'd be kind of fun. Obviously I can't do it with the ongoing series because I have Stalker and I have Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk I have recorded a fair bit in advance, so I can sort of manage, but with all the uni exams and everything coming up, there's no way I can do 3 series unless I fully record this one in advance and then just start uploading it whenever it's done, right? So that way I won't have any pressure to edit videos and upload them regularly. I can just record whenever I have time, and then when the whole series is done, just release videos one at a time, daily or every other day. That'd be kind of okay. But anyways, you know, whether I do that or not at the end, that was not sort of the point of the video. What I want to talk about is well, what I just mentioned and what I just talked about previously. So yeah, that was sort of the main focus. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the whole Renaissance thing, and have you experienced what I'm talking about? This whole sort of, I guess I want to call it expected and normalized hatred towards the game, or is it something that just I've seen and most people are like, no, what the hell are you talking about? You know, you never know. Could be the case. Anyways, until next time, thank you very much for watching. My name is Juggernaut. Like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like me to do like a building episode or like a show you my builds and stuff, and stage by stage, and you know, that'd be okay too. Though, fair warning, I copy most of my builds, not block for block, but I take the ideas from a couple of people. Like this house was straight up stolen. It's not like I'm presenting it as my own. It was straight up taken from another YouTuber, whose video and name I can't remember right now. But yeah, I'm gonna... Well, actually, no, it hasn't been straight up taken. I modified them a little bit. So this was like a whole floor down, and the roof was supposed to be different, and these were supposed to be a little bit different. But, you know, the whole basic idea was taken from someone else. This was more or less copied as well from someone. Except I sort of changed the interior layout and stuff. But yeah, it's... who cares? It doesn't matter, right? Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe down below. Like I said below. Like I said below, yes. Excellent. Like I said before, it really does help the channel out a ton. And I'll see you all next time. Have fun, take care, and bye-bye.